Welcome back to Switch to Linux. This is Tom. So today we're going to look at the Ubuntu upgrade and just have another quick look at the Ubuntu system. And this video is going to be a little bit shorter. I have a little bit different setup. I tried a few different things. OBS keeps crashing the whole computer, and so I had to install simple screen recorder, and to add the personal touch, I'm running the GUVC viewer just so that you can see the picture as well. Like I said, my other video, I think it provides a much better, just a nice, more personal touch. Now, the fact that OBS is crashing probably has to do with the fact that this computer is actually running off of an external hard drive on a USB 2 port, because this computer actually does not have USB 3. And all that being said, the fact that it was working as well as it was working is just fine. And you know, as long as I'm not trying to do a lot of recording on this computer actually does very well, being is that, you know, I've taken the computer is just running off of a hard drive, just an external hard drive there. And that's a testament to the power of how good Linux is, that you can take an operating system on an external hard drive and carry it around. So like when I travel, I actually take this computer with me. Because if I need it, this is actually the computer I help the development of a video game, and sometimes I need to get in and do some sysadmin stuff. And all of the applications, all of the things that I need to access our server is all on this computer. And the nice and easy thing is with this system is, if this computer back here where this is usually running is doing something important, I can boot up any other computer in the house with this particular hard drive. And you can't do that on a Windows system. And every time you boot it in, it just detects what's there to detect. And in this case here, it loads up the Bluetooth without a problem. And loading up your Bluetooth is pretty cool. This computer that I'm on also has a touch screen, which I'm not a huge fan of touch screens in general. On a basic laptop, I should say. If this were like a Yoga or something that flipped, converted, that'd be a lot better. But it's like a regular laptop. What do you need to go touch the screen for? I don't know. But Ubuntu works very well with the screen, with the touch screen, as does Linux Mint. However, on Linux Mint, I have the computer, the one that's actually runs the internal hard drive on this computer, actually is, I disable it at startup. And if I happen to need a touchscreen for whatever reason, I have a quick script that I can bash to turn it on. So anyway, the computer though works very well when I'm not overwhelming it with way too much stuff. And if I did want to use Ubuntu as a basic recording system, I would definitely do a different setup, like including putting it inside of the computer itself. So what we're going to do, though, is I'm just going to talk a little bit about the update. So this computer has been running since 15. I upgraded from 15 to 16, and since it wasn't a critical computer, I actually ran 16 on alpha actually almost a year ago. So even before January last year, I was running 16 on this computer. So this has been through the alpha, and then it was through the official 16.04 release, which actually broke more stuff. Like, the computer did not work as well after the release than it did before the release, which to me was a little goofy, but whatever. So with all that being said, one of the challenges I've had with Ubuntu in the past is the updates. So inside of your system settings, you'll have the software and updates. And one of the challenges that I had encountered in here is under your update section, I literally had this turned to never. And the thing was still giving me updates pretty much whenever. And that was a little frustrating to me, because when I come into a computer and I say never give me updates, that's my choice and that's my risk, but that's what I prefer the computer to do. And it didn't do that. It didn't respect that. It was still giving me updates. I have it set now to go ahead and give me updates and just display security immediately. If there are other updates every other week, I don't really need that. You know, there's cases where updates break things. This computer here, I actually, the Adobe Flash Player was just updated yesterday, and it broke my entire Yahoo View system, which is quite tragic because this is the computer that I use to watch things in my office. So, you know, I'll use Chromium until that's patched up, or, you know, if it works, and if not, I'll just boot the thing either into this Ubuntu, or I'll boot it into Windows 8 and use it in that respect. So, you know, it does actually boot Windows 8. So about once a week now it gets there, just so I can keep an archive. The Windows 8 hard drive in there actually keeps an archive of all my email. So that's kind of what it's there for. And let's see. So anyway, though, this guy here, despite having automatically checked for updates was off, I still got a pop-up that said, hey, Ubuntu 16.10 is available. And it did give me the option, unlike Windows 10, would you like it now or in 5 hours? Now, I did have the option to never remind me again. But I was like, why not? I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this. So I went ahead, pushed the button, and updated the computer to Ubuntu 16.10. The update took about an hour, and as I had said, Linux Mint took about 2 hours. The potential difference is because this computer is usually hardlined directly into the router, so it does download about twice the speed as the Wi-Fi connection does. The other beautiful thing that this did that Linux Mint did not do is it did not totally kill my software repositories. If I come over here, you can see where the repositories are. It actually disabled some of them, but it never, it did not delete them. And that was one of the frustrations in Linux Mint update, is that the PPAs all got completely cleared out. So if I didn't know what they were, I didn't know what they were. In this case, it just disabled them. I had to come back in and manually turn them on just by clicking the checkbox, close, and then update the cache. So that was fine. The annoyance, this actually did remove the Flash Player. For whatever reason, I don't know. It was working just fine. Pushed the update, go to watch a video online, and I needed to install Flash Player again, which was actually kind of a little annoying. So again, that was easy. Just went into Firefox, and there were the instructions there. And actually, it wasn't quite as easy as it should have been, because there's like a Flash Player installer you need to install first, and then you had to install Flash Player. Still didn't take me long. And then every update of Ubuntu does one really, really stupid thing. It always seems to mess with the icon sizes. The icon sizes are driving me crazy. Why is it that every time Ubuntu wants to update, it changes around our icon sizes? I had them perfect, and then I booted the computer on, and then they were massive, and then they were small, and it's like, what are you doing? So if you do end up encountering that problem, and you need the icons fixed, you just boot up into your window manager here, and then on the upper right corner up here, you can see there's a list view. This second one here will give you list view or icon view. And on your icon view here, you can actually choose the size of the icons. And you'll see that will adjust all of the icons across the computer. So they are kind of locked into these four rigid groups. And so you have to pick the size that you want. That's one of the differences between this and Linux Mint. And Linux Mint, of course, I have the option to basically dynamically redo them. Here's a little search bar there. So that's kind of the things. Some of the changes, one of the major changes is I used to have the updates disabled, hopefully disabled, but then I'd always check the updates when I wanted to, maybe every other week or so. I'd come up here to About the Computer, and this gives you information about your computer. And you used to have a little button right down here, and the button there was a check for updates button. And this is where I was used to going to check for my updates. But in this case here, nope. Does not seem to be there anymore. So now that's kind of actually why I set my updates to check every day, because I've been getting used to that on my other Linux computers, and I'm mostly okay with it, except when they break the Flash player. And I don't know, I might even do a little rant about this or something. It seemed to be the Flash player, although the other computer, I think it was this computer actually, the Ubuntu computer, is running the same version of Flash Player, but for some reason, this one being Linux Mint 18 on KDE, this one being Ubuntu, the Flash Player, as soon as the update came through, it stopped working. Over here, it is still working. But a major problem I'm having with the Ubuntu core is once that Flash Player was updated in the system updates, it's completely gone from the repositories. I can't roll back to it. I'm sure there's probably a way to roll back to it, but I'm not going to go through an hour of research to try and figure out how to get that back, when I'm betting if I load up Chromium or Opera or whatever, or any other system, I'm sure I will be able to watch anything on that computer. And if not, I'll boot it into 8. I'm sure other people are noticing it as well. I was about to put out a bug report on that, but I wasn't sure I should, because it seems to be limited to that computer alone. Maybe it's more research. Other things I noticed, though, is that I am actually seeing a little bit more stability in the system. And so if you open up any of the windows, when you come over here and click on the files to pull down your windows, I always used to have a problem on Ubuntu that most of the time when I come up here and click on this, it wouldn't actually give me the drop down. I'd have to go way over out to some other menu that was here, click it, and then scroll back over. And I have not noted that issue at all on the computer since I've been running the 1610. Every other setting seems to be intact. I did not notice anything else that is not working. I know one thing that I think I need to recheck on the Linux system is the Linux Mint system is the virtual machine. I know this one here, and as I said, I think that this did actually update the virtual machine, but no problems at all. This is just for the nostalgic people out there. There you go. Windows 95, and I really hope you can hear that sound. It's just glorious. Oh, Windows 95 or 98 rather, in all of its beautiful glory. Where is my? Oh, I'm kind of locked into my system there. Let me get myself out. I have to scroll down to get to my start menu to shut this guy down. I've been having fun with this rebuild of Windows 98. This VirtualBox, by the way, I have blocked it from accessing the internet, so don't worry about that. But I did want to rebuild my old early computer, including that thing runs Office 95 and all of the old programming that I used to do in C++ and Visual Basic and stuff. Oh, it was so fun. But the VirtualBox works just fine. Like I said, a lot more stability. I have noticed more stability on the 1610. Actually, that's something I meant to look for. Is I wanted to see, okay, so one guy, I think Joe Collins, complained about Presario not being in here. It's possible it's still here because it was pre-installed before I installed this. It did not mess up any other systems or settings. I know if I came down to the system where I can, where's it at? I'm trying to remember where that is now. I think it's security and privacy maybe. All my default applications maintained in place. Here it does have the ability to send error reports and occasional system information. Those are disabled. I do not know if these are disabled by default in Ubuntu 16.10 or 16.04 for that matter. It's just been so long since I set this computer up. So double check that. Make sure your search is turned off unless you intentionally want internet items in the search function. One of the things, though, they actually moved. It used to be on this screen. The privacy policy used to be right there. And I'm not sure where that is now. I'm looking for default applications. It's probably right in front of my face, about to bite my head off, and I'm not seeing it. Maybe it is under software. I know it's here. I mean, I was looking all my information earlier. Can I close you? Thank you. Oh, there you go. Default applications. I was staring at it. It was on this screen here. So it did keep all my default applications intact. Here it's Firefox is still the default. This one here, I did not know Kmail services on here, and I did not see it on here, so I'm not quite sure what's up with that. But it is there. Here's all the music players, and I know Banshee is not the default for Ubuntu, and so I do know for sure that this did keep all my settings as I had them, simply because of that. The things I've not checked since then. Here's your privacy policy. Since I have not, or since I have done this, one thing I did not check yet is I did not check Wine applications, if Wine applications are still working. So that's something to look into. But overall, the system, just like Linux Mint, the update, I wouldn't even have known it unless you told me you updated it. Everything is completely intact other than having to reinstall Flash Player, re-enabling the repositories of the PPAs, which was a great benefit here. And it did remove Flash Player for some reason, which is a program I used a lot, it was not on here after I did my update. So that's just a real quick walkthrough. Overall impressions, would I update Ubuntu again to 16.10? I haven't noticed any issues. I think I would, just because I know I have some of the latest kernels. I know that the one major thing that I noticed is that I can actually access all of my file menus more quickly than I was able to. And you know, there's really, again, no disadvantage. I think Linux systems are just getting better and better and better as time goes on. Ubuntu is not my absolute favorite. It's a good operating system for some things for me. Again, Linux Mint with the Cinnamon Edition is absolutely the most efficient system for me, so that's what I use for work. But this one does actually serve to encode all my media files. I use this is the computer, my basic go-to computer for SSHing into any of my systems here or into any of my AWS clouds. And I also use this for encoding all the media, and actually is a good backup system. Ubuntu does not have the problem that the KDE has, where every few minutes I'll get a little blip in some media file. And if you'll notice up here, I have Caffeine. Caffeine actually works on this computer. It is quote-unquote enabled here, but it doesn't actually work. Caffeine does not seem to work on KDE. But anyway, that's kind of my run through on Ubuntu. No major issues. The upgrade and install was just fine. It was quick and smooth. Because it disabled some of those third-party items, I actually was not able to use the computer as a media player during the time of the upgrade. So that's something to keep in mind if you do have an Ubuntu 16.04, you want to upgrade to a 16.10. I didn't notice any real disadvantages, but do it at a time when you can't, when you do not have to have the computer around, because in my case, it disabled the Flash Player right away and some of the other things, and it kind of prevented me from using the computer what I ordinarily would use the computer for during the update process. So that's kind of that. Going back for some more videos. Some of the things I have going on. One of the things I'm going to be working on, and I'm consulting with another friend to get all of the ins and outs, is I'm going to be working on a internet privacy course. All done in videos. I'm probably shooting for maybe 15 or so minutes. And that's something that's coming down the pipeline. I'm going to kind of work out the outline, develop a little bit of a small curricula, maybe even put together a little website about it and put that on. But in the comments of this video or anywhere else on messaging, if you have something that you want me to specifically address, while discussing internet and basic security and privacy, let me know what it is. And as I'm working on this, you know, I'm going to be talking about why privacy. I'm going to be talking about passwords and password security. A lot of my impetus of this is when I was at a seminar last month, about a month ago, and it was a person who's involved in IT security for businesses. And I was asked, you know, is any of the stuff you're teaching presented in any schools? And unfortunately, the answer is no. So it's kind of like, kind of scary, because we are pushing all these kids to have all these online accounts, and Facebook gets them early, and Google gets them early, and everyone gets them early, but they don't know basics about internet security. And that's kind of one of the things I want to do, is that hopefully getting out on a more of an open platform. So that's something coming down the pipeline. Probably expect to start seeing more about that within the next couple weeks here. So this is Tom at Switch to Linux.